Hey everyone, you're joining me on another car review, which this time around it's very different to how it was last time. Not really. This is still a Tesla. Last time around I spoke to you guys about the Tesla Model 3 dual motor all-wheel drive. This time I'm in, as promised, the Tesla Model Y dual motor all-wheel drive. Now, straight off the bat, I prefer the Model Y to the Model 3. There's a number of reasons why I do prefer one to the other, but ultimately I feel that the practicality of the Model Y, the way it behaves on the road, the way it accelerates, the graduation of the actual acceleration pedal itself, how it's actually configured. Now bear in mind, the two cars that I reviewed are both rental cars, so they're both from Hertz, and both had, or still have, how do you say that? Both have many thousands of miles on it. So the Model 3 actually had a little bit less mileage than the Model Y I'm currently in. The Model 3 had itself a about 23,000 miles, maybe 26, I can't quite remember. This particular Model Y has around 32 to 34,000 miles, I can't quite remember. Tesla, unlike conventional cars, don't necessarily display the odometer all the time. You actually have to go into the menu to be able to get it, which is a bit of an annoyance, to be honest with you, but I don't really care. So this particular car has just over 30,000 miles. I prefer this one to the other one, primarily because ultimately the Tesla Model Y itself is, for my money, built better. At least these two, you know, if I was to compare the two vehicles that I've driven in quite a bit of detail, the Model Y has definitely been pulled together a lot nicer than the Model 3 itself. The sound deadening is actually about equal. Now some of you are going to say, well, perhaps the Model Y didn't have the double glazing. It had, and even so the road noise was a lot worse. I genuinely do feel that the Model Y's practicality is phenomenal in comparison to the Model 3 itself. I actually did an IKEA trip in one of these, in this particular car actually, yesterday, and I was able to fill it up with anything and everything I liked, plus my family. My family includes a toddler, so there's a child seat. So even considering all of those factors, ultimately the Model 3 was able to gobble up everything that was in the two trolleys that me and my wife managed to fill up. So no complaints there. It's still phenomenally quick. This particular car, you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, you know, it's lost some of the performance when comparing it to the Model 3 itself. It hasn't. Maybe it has, but it's barely noticeable. And yes, there are some noises that come from essentially the dashboard, kind of on the right, towards the right hand side of the dashboard. There's some creaks and squeaks, but that's to be expected because this is a hatchback versus the Model 3 in itself is a saloon car, or a sedan as you might call it in the US. For my money, the Model Y's proportions are phenomenal, and I'm not comparing Tesla to Tesla at the moment. I'm actually comparing the Model Y by way of a design with all other cars that are currently on the road. I genuinely prefer and like the look of the current Model Y. Now I do know that the Model 3 is being revamped at the moment in Europe. In fact, in France, the newer, updated, facelifted version of the Model 3 is available to purchase, and there are some road tests already available to view on YouTube, so feel free to take a look at those. Why I bring that up is because I genuinely hope that Tesla does not ruin the wonderful lines and proportionality of the Model Y itself when it does eventually, hopefully in the next few months, revamp and redo the design slightly so that it brings it in line with the new Model 3, which both the cars are actually based on each other, let's just say. The other aspect that I wanted to sort of point out is the higher seating position, and these seats, phenomenally brilliant in the sense that they're far more supportive. They're hip height to be able to sort of get into, so it makes it much easier for an old man like myself to be able to get in and out of the car, which again, great. The Model 3 is actually, you have to sort of lower yourself into the vehicle and lift yourself out of the vehicle. And again, lifting myself out of the vehicle is slightly problematic because I'm carrying a little bit of what's called a dad gut. And so the practicality, the getting in, getting out of the vehicle was much nicer in the Model Y. The ability to be able to sort of pull the rear seats down and load up to your heart's very content is also something that is great to be able to have by way of practicality. The other aspect that I wanted to also mention as we're driving around is, for some reason, the range of this car, even though it's heavier and probably carries the same battery pack and capacity as the Model 3 long range, the range in this seems to be better than what I was getting in the Model 3. And to put it into the sharp contrast around that is, the Model 3 was actually stuck on chill mode the last week that I actually had it, because for some reason Hurst decided they were going to put the car on chill mode one night, so I didn't necessarily sort of go back to get that changed. Even so, this particular car that isn't on chill mode, is on the sportier driving setting, is still sapping the power much nicer than, say, what the Model 3 was able to do by way of range per charge. So in conclusion, if I was going to spend my money, I would be spending my money on the Model Y, not the Model 3, even though the Model 3 in itself is actually a nice car to drive. However, the practicality, the looks, the seating position. Oh, I was going to mention the actual seating position. One thing more about the seating position itself. These seats, so these particular seats that I'm in, the front seats, go forwards and backwards. The motions are great. It's all electric, etc. The height, though, you can actually increase the height so that you're literally towering over traffic. So from that perspective, it's great. I would thoroughly recommend this particular vehicle if you are one of these people that want to sit quite high up in traffic and be able to sort of see over what's in front of you. Perfectly feasible to do that in the Model Y itself. For the price, well, let's talk about the price a little bit. This particular car, I think about a year and a half ago, was being sold for around $65,000, which maybe is worth it, maybe it isn't. We can probably argue about the price bracket and the performance that you'd get for that sort of money. And just to put it into perspective, this car has north of 450 horsepower easy. It's, as I said, the performance is second to none. In fact, I'm wondering why any other electric vehicle for the money gets even close to anything like this. But let's go back to the price today. The price today of this vehicle is $50,500 plus tax. If you buy one that's in stock, you could probably get a little bit of a deal. So maybe you get $2,000, perhaps $3,000 off. For the money, there's nothing on the road that comes even remotely close to the practicality, to the performance, to the level of comfort, the infotainment system, the speakers in itself, everything about Teslas is tremendously well thought out. It's brilliantly engineered. Yes, there are some issues in regards to the fit and finish, but it comes with a 4-year warranty. That's what goes all the way up to 100,000 miles, I believe. And yeah, if I was going to spend money, and I will be soon, I would probably spend it on a Tesla. That's a revelation to me as well. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.